Am I the a-hole for admitting to not putting as much effort into my mom as my stepmom? I, 30 male, am at a loss here and not sure what to do. When I was 3, my mom, 52 female, married a guy who did not like the fact I wasn't his and didn't want to constantly provide for someone else's kid. The week before the wedding, he gave her an ultimatum, and because he had money, she chose him and opted to just have me on weekends when he wasn't around. My grandparents became my primary caretakers until my dad was able to move back to our country. When I was 6, my dad married my stepmom, 54 female, and I admittedly didn't make things easy for her for a while. I had some abandonment, trust, and mommy issues, and I took it out on her. My stepmom was a very loving and patient person, but made it clear that she wasn't going to take my crap. Eventually, we were able to find a type of relationship that worked for us. When I was about 15, my dad passed away, and I was so lost and hurt. My grandparents offered to take me in, but my stepmom would not hear of it and felt like I needed to stay close to my half-siblings, 8 female and 8 male. She got me therapy, and I was able to work through even more of my issues. By the time I graduated high school, I was calling her mom and always grateful for the effort she put into me growing up. 5 years ago, my stepmom was diagnosed with cancer, and I was devastated. Even though the doctor said that they caught it at good time, still I felt like I was going to lose her and took a lesser paying job so that I could move back home and have more free time to care for her. I basically became the man of the house and handled a lot of the finances, took my stepmom to most of her appointments, sat beside her on most of her meetings with the doctor, held her hand when she was suffering through the chemo, and did my best to give my siblings normal of a life as possible. It was a rough time, but she beat cancer, and I'm not ashamed to say I wept tears of joy and made several posts in celebration. I even paid for us all to go on a family vacation. Now, my mom, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago, and I was sorry to hear about it. I sent her a card and called her to say that I wish her the best, and sent her some information that my stepmom found very helpful. Recently, my cousin called me enraged at the lack of effort that I'm showing my mom compared to what I gave my stepmom, and how she's hurt that her own son doesn't seem to care whether she lives or dies. I honestly didn't think about it very much when it came to my mom. I'm sad for her, but I don't feel like this would wreck my world sad. Am I the a-hole for not caring very much about my mom getting cancer? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom made her bed. She should lie in it. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions. Not the a-hole. You have a close and loving relationship with your stepmom while you don't with your mom. So your feelings about losing your mom aren't as strong. Anyway, it sounds like you lost her. Really, she chose to lose you a long time ago. Your feelings are just fine and normal. What should you do? Well, you could call or visit more often, but keep in mind you might be berated for neglecting your mom, which could open up a whole can of worms about what you did in the past. Not an a-hole. People love to use blood to excuse horrible behavior. You can't hate them, they're your mom. Or, let it go, I mean their family. But never once are these arguments weighing in how we should hold family to a higher standard. You're not getting revenge here, you're returning the same energy. Nothing wrong with that. Ask yourself this: if this was a random friend who treated you this way, would you even consider their feelings? Not the a-hole. Your mom made her choice when she chose her new husband over you. She's hurt that her own son doesn't seem to care whether she lives or dies? Try being discarded by your own mother when you're a kid. Your stepmother actually took on the role of motherhood and was actually there for you, and you returned the favor. Motherhood is a privilege, not a right. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she can't see her grandson unless she changes her attitude? My husband, 33, and I, 31, are pregnant with our first child after trying for a year now. We found out that we're having a baby boy, and we're so thrilled. So we decided that we were going to do a small gender reveal party. My mom always wanted a granddaughter, and she even wore all pink to the gender reveal. When the blue confetti came out, everyone cheered. Except for my mom. She decided to leave and go home, so I didn't see her the whole rest of the party. After the party, I decided to get on social media, and the first thing that popped up was a post from my mom saying, "Worst day ever." When someone asked what was going on, she replied, "My daughter is having a boy when I wanted it to be girl, but I guess it's okay." I called my mom, and I told her that unless she changes that attitude, then she can't see her grandson. And she just screamed at me, but I kept it firm. My husband and in-laws agree with me, but other relatives called me an a-hole. So, am I? Not an a-hole. Imagine a grown-up acting like a petulant child who didn't get their own way. I'm sure she'll come around, but be on guard that she doesn't eventually show favoritism to any future granddaughters. You may need to continue to protect your son from this woman. Precisely. Opie, it's okay for your mom to be disappointed, but it's not okay for her to complain about it publicly. I've seen a lot of AITA posts about husbands/fathers being disappointed that they are having a girl, or that they have all girls and no boys, and they are roundly and correctly branded as a-holes. Your mom is as well, for the same reason. Hold firm on your boundary. Not a-hole. Not a-hole. Worst day ever? We can all think of worse. Congratulations on your happy news. Incidentally, we just found out this past year that our older child is a daughter, not a son. I always kinda wanted a daughter, not to the point of being disappointed in a son, mind you. And now I have one. Life is weird. Worst day ever is the kind of thing my 5-year-old says when he doesn't get his way. And I don't let him get away with that kind of behavior. I think that Opie's mother can be held to at least the same standard as a 5-year-old, right? Not a-hole. Not a-hole. Your child doesn't need a grandparent treating them like crap because they're not the gender she was wanting them to be. You don't need to support her immature and disgusting reaction. Not a-hole. Any judgment about gender reveal parties aside, your child's gender is not about her. It's not even about you either. Technically speaking, you didn't choose to have a boy. She's practically shaming you for getting pregnant with a child of the wrong gender. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that she's not an adoptive parent?" I, 34 female, have 3 kids. 2 are adopted from China. 3 years ago, we got matched. We decided to announce it to the family at our Christmas party. When we said we're adopting, the first words out of my sister's, now 32 female, mouth were "me too." I was very confused, as she had never seemed interested in adoption. So I asked her what she meant a few minutes later, and she started telling me all about the new corgi she was getting. I was kinda annoyed because I feel like it's weird to compare the adoption of pets to human children, but I let it go at the time. Fast forward about 7 months when we were home with the girls. They were 4 and 7, and the grieving process was very hard, and it was just a difficult adjustment in general. When I tried to call my sister, she kept comparing it to her dog, which she had gotten a few months earlier. Like, I would tell her some things that are triggering to my daughters, and she would say, "Oh yeah, how we had trouble with that on the first few days, but we just kept exposing him to it, and he got used to it. Howie is her dog." First of all, that is terrible advice. And second, she would say it like she was some experienced parents giving advice to a new mother. She has a stepson, but he was 11 when she met him, and 13 when she became a stepmom. She has not adopted him, and her husband choose for her not to be a parental figure for him. So I don't really think it's her place to be giving out parenting advice. Well, the last straw was that I go to a Zoom adoptive parent support group, and yesterday we had an event type thing where you could bring in a friend or someone who may be considering adoption and give them a little insight from the parent's point of view. My sister asked me to invite her as she said she may adopt one day. I did. And when they started talking about how sometimes in orphanages, children's hygiene aren't taken care of, aka they don't have their teeth taken care of, and often wear the same clothes for multiple days in a row, my sister started talking about how it was similar to how her dog was treated in the shelter, and how annoying it was to have to take him to the vet for his teeth because they weren't properly cared for in the shelter. Everyone in the meeting looked very uncomfortable, especially the woman in charge who is an adoptee. After the meeting, we were talking on the phone, and I tried to tell her nicely that it was an inappropriate thing to say when talking about the inhuman conditions of actual children. But she accused me of not caring about the inhuman conditions of dog shelters. I said, "I do care about that, but it's not the same as children. And adopting a dog from a shelter is not the same as adopting a child, and doesn't make you an adoptive parent." She hung up on me and blocked me on Facebook. Did I say something wrong? Am I the a-hole here? Edit. I did invite her specifically. I reposted the event to my Facebook page and my sister messaged and asked me to invite her. And this was not a conversation type thing. It was a presentation put on by the group leader / agency rep, so I didn't think she would have much time to talk. And also, I thought this would help her learn more about actual adoption and how different it is to animal adoption. Edit 2. I do understand what it's like to have a dog and how they're like a baby in some way. I have 4, but I still would never compare the adoption of my dogs versus the adoption of my daughters. Now for the top comments. Not today, Hull. You're right. And I speak as someone who adopted animals instead of kids and can't biologically have children. I call my pets my babies, and I have a hardcore bleeding heart for animals that are mistreated or neglected, or in shelters that don't provide what they need. But it's apples and oranges to human adoption. The state of orphanages that neglect their kids can be awful and heartbreaking. I have 2 adopted sisters from Ukraine who came from an orphanage where they were not fed enough and have very little human contact. And it's a completely separate issue. Both are terrible circumstances, and both can manifest really difficult issues once the adoptee finds their new home. But they are not the same issue and can't be compared that way. I agree. The 2 things just aren't comparable. It's like saying comparing apples to oranges. OP, you need to either set boundaries with your sister or get it drilled into her head that it's not the same thing. To be honest, she sounds kind of jealous of you adopting and all of the support and attention she thinks you're getting. She either won't / can't adopt and is trying to earn that attention or make up for it with what she thinks is the next best thing. So either set up some boundaries like shutting her down, establishing what she did in the meeting was not to happen again and was unacceptable, etc. Or just get it bolted to her forehead that an adopted child and adopted dog are not the same. Not they Hull. Not they Hull. Dogs and cats aren't human children. I'm a bleeding heart tree hugger and wish more people cared about their pets. But it's not the same thing. And it's incredibly insensitive of your sister to not see that line at all. Yeah, it's like a layman saying they are a insert credentialed / licensed professional here instead of a hobbyist, enthusiast, someone knowledgeable, etc. I consider it akin to a homeopath improperly claiming to be an MD or someone telling an educator with an MA in education they're also a school teacher. Not they Hull, and your sister is delusional. Don't get me wrong, I love my cat and she's my baby, but I don't go around saying I'm a single parent, WTF. Seriously, your sister is badass crazy. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for staying quiet when my stepmom tells my stepsister I chose them? So my dad married Jane 7 years ago. She was a new mom, recently out of a bad relationship with the father of her daughter, and my dad was recently widowed. They fell in love fast, and my dad became a dad to Callie, now 7 female. I, 17 female, have no problems with him moving on fast. But about 2 years in, they started having issues with me saying step. They told me it was going to give Callie complex and take from her having a nice perfect family. I told them I wasn't going to call Jane mom or refer to her as my mom, and they would have to deal with it. So Jane decided to flip the script. She would tell Callie that I chose them, that I chose Jane to be my new mommy, and Callie to be the sister I always wanted but never had. It's not at all true, but I'm not out here trying to crush little kids. Then recently, Jane's family decided to do this photo shoot of all the mothers and their children. I think it was something like they wanted to show the strength of mothers even during the toughest times, that is, lockdown and the state of everything with COVID. Jane asked me to pose with her and Callie, and I said no. Callie then asked why would it be in the photos if I chose Jane and her as mom and sister. Jane went into the whole thing again, and she did it in front of me. I think hoping I would agree and maybe had a reason, or make me cave into agreeing, why I wasn't going to be in them. But I said nothing. I let Jane be the parent, and afterward she was angry. My dad told me I should have agreed with Jane and reassured Callie that I loved and chose her and Jane, because that's all Callie knows. I told him I'm not going to lie about seeing Jane as a mom to me when I don't. I also said they're the ones who came up with the idea of me choosing them and they need to deal with that. They still think I was an a-hole for not saying anything. I think it's their job as parents. Yeah, I'm almost an adult, but that doesn't mean I'm responsible for parenting. I also think eventually Callie will figure out that I don't feel the way they say I do, and maybe she's even starting to figure it out. I can acknowledge the whole thing has been confusing for her and probably hurts because she's been given these expectations and they're really not true. And I feel bad for her because I know how badly the truth can hurt when you've been in the dark for a long time. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This is really strange. There's nothing wrong with having a step-parent. She and your dad are being super weird about this. Also, 7 is way past old enough to be able to comprehend the idea of step-parents and have siblings. Parents shouldn't lie to their kids about the makeup of their own family. I understand that Callie's a stepsister actually. I still don't get the concept of Opie choosing them and why acknowledging that they're step-family is bad. Jane might have a complex about having a perfect family, and anything that reminds her that it isn't perfect could be a negative to her. My mom had some. A lot of. Guilt over not giving me and my brother a perfect or normal family when my parents divorced, so maybe this is something like that. Not they, Opie. They dug themselves into a hole with their story. You didn't choose to go along with it. Callie will figure it out soon, probably. Kids aren't as dumb as most people think. Not Dayhall. And what about you? You lost your mom and you were being used and lied about. Your stepmother is self-absorbed and delusional. Your feelings don't matter. You're being used to pamper her and her child. Good for you for following your conscience and being a real person. I hope you have people in your life that truly see you and care about your feelings and not just what you do for them. Find those people. That, and where is Callie's bio dad? Not involved? Not Dayhall. Families come in all forms. Creating this illusion that they are the perfect family isn't healthy for any of them. Not Dayhall. It's really sad that you can't tell your little sister that your mom died, and while Jane is your stepmom, you wouldn't want any other stepmom because she makes your dad and you happy and that's all that matters. I feel sorry for your little sister who isn't getting the opportunity to understand a real situation. Children aren't stupid, and they deserve to understand the truth.
I confronted my husband about housework and he left me and I couldn't be happier. Original post. I am a mid-40s mother and the primary income earner for my family. For context, I earn 80% of the family's income. That's not something I care about in the abstract, but I also do the majority of the childcare and all the housework. That's all of it, inside, outside, and finances. My husband doesn't even take the bins out. It wasn't always this way. Or now that I think about it, perhaps it was, but I didn't always care. I have always earned more than my husband and worked longer hours, but when we married, neither gap was very big. I still did almost all the housework, but we lived in a smaller house with no garden, ate out a lot, and didn't have kids. So I guess there wasn't much to do. Also, I had more time, so I didn't mind putting on a podcast and running a cloth over the bathroom and the vacuum over the carpet on a Saturday morning while he played sports. Now we have a house, a garden, kids, pets, and a pool that he wanted, and somehow I am expected to do all the work associated with all of that, plus manage the finances and all the school-related stuff. My average weekend now consists of at least 5 hours of cleaning bathrooms in the kitchen, maintaining the garden, and even doing basic maintenance. He doesn't play sports anymore, but instead, he mainly sits there on his computer, ignoring me as I clean the house around him or try to wrangle the kids to do homework. Occasionally, he will graciously take the kids out so mom can get her work done. That work is the housework. I would love to take the kids out on the weekend too, but I am too busy using my few free hours to clean his filthy toilet and do the grocery shopping. I have tried talking to my husband many times over many years. After the first couple of times, he improved a little bit and then slipped back into old habits. Most recently, he shrugged and said that if I am so concerned, I should just pay someone to do it properly. By which I think he's pointing out that my standards aren't that great either. The house never looks nice no matter how hard I try. So a part of me thinks he's right, but then I would have a stranger in my house whom I would have to pay, cleaning up mostly his mess. which I, of course, would have to organize. Also, while someone coming in once a week may help with, say, the major cleaning jobs, it won't help with the bathroom after the kids get shower water all over the floor, with the endless laundry, with the lawn that never stops growing, with the spider in the pool, the dog poop on the grass, the leaking tap, the blown light bulb, or the fact that we are out of milk, etc. I guess what really annoys me, though, is the attitude. It's not just about the housework, not really. It's that this doesn't feel like a partnership. It's like he's opted out. Having formed the view that his income is pocket money in comparison to mine, it's not. It's a fifth of our income. He has started spending it like he is 12. Expensive clothing, every streaming service, lots of takeout food, which at least means I mainly just cook for the kids and myself now, concerts and games. He's also taking long breaks of leave without pay from work, which I wouldn't mind if he took it during school holidays or something, but he takes it during the working week and heads off to see friends interstate, play the latest computer game, or run lengthy gaming sessions, which invariably end up with dishes piled everywhere, and me having to clean up after I get back from work. When I complain, he says things like, "Am I asking you to clean up?" I said I will get to it, and I will. But the times I have acquiesced and left it, we have ended up with dirty dishes piled up in the sink or in the rumpus room for days. When I didn't clean the guest bathroom after his friend stayed, he didn't do it either, and we got mold. This is all driving me insane. It's causing me to simmer with resentment and anger. It has completely turned me off from doing anything with my husband. Sex now feels like just another chore. I am almost to the point of divorce, which I know would have a terrible effect on the kids. But I honestly think I could do a better job looking after them if they didn't have another sibling in the shape of their father. I am also deeply worried about how our division of labor is affecting them and their perception of gender roles. My family, however, thinks I am crazy. My mother points out that my husband isn't violent or abusive, he's not aggressive or egotistical, and he doesn't mind that I earn more than him. If anything, he's proud of it, which she thinks is adorable. My parents think it is great that he'll take the kids out while I get the housework done, and even better that he never complains about how the house looks anyway, which is much better than a man who is demanding about that kind of thing. My parents also, subtly but definitely, point out that he was open-minded enough to date me. I have a disfigurement that turns most men off, and that it would be challenging to find another nice man if I left him. He does not care how I look. He's faithful, and he's nice, really nice. He loves the kids. He would never say anything nasty. They are right that the worst I can say about him is that he is lazy, and even that is only in a certain context. I know he is probably a much nicer, more likable person than me. I feel really judgmental and ungrateful and awful, frankly, that I care so much about this. But I just can't get past the resentment that he just won't help, and he thinks that's perfectly okay. I don't know what to do. I can't believe I am contemplating divorce over housework, but this has totally undermined our relationship. I am just so tired. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Your mother's ridiculously low standards are abhorrent. You deserve better. My mother points out that my husband isn't violent or abusive, he's not aggressive or egotistical, and he doesn't mind that I earn more than him. The bar is literally in hell. And she's wrong, because what her daughter's husband is doing is abusive behavior, and certainly seems egotistical. I outsource cleaning every other week. I told my spouse I was falling out of love and couldn't respect him being a lazy bum. It's not the 1950s. I wasn't signing up for being the maid and a fleshlight when he wanted sex. I was too tired and resentful, and it needed to change permanently. After years of my asking, years of half-hearted contribution. We now trade off cooking, and if I don't feel like it, I get takeout. But it took a blow-up of major proportion, and my telling him half the time what to cook. It improved, but got to the point that I was going to have him leave. Pieces of my heart died, and have not recovered that for years. It was half-assed 50s nonsense and I'm main breadwinner. Good luck. Pieces of my heart died and have not recovered. That's how I feel. I can see the good things still, but it's like looking at pasted together shattered pieces. Your parents and partner have undervalued you, and you deserve a partner who pulls their weight and carries their share of the load. If that isn't your husband, there will be someone else, or not if you prefer. You sound like a catch, because that happened to her. In her mind, having a man just exist within your space is the most valuable thing that he can offer. I don't think my parents undervalue me. They would just consider themselves very practical people who tell it like it is. I don't think they are wrong, but as other people have said, it doesn't matter anyway if I don't want to be remarried, which I certainly wouldn't if I left. You're right that I don't need a man to just exist in my presence. But it is nice to have one you care about, and to have that family, particularly when raising kids. Now for the update a year later. After years and years of fighting about housework, I gave my husband an ultimatum: get his act together or leave. He left. I was not expecting that, but he said it was clear I didn't respect him, and he could never be with a woman who didn't respect him. He moved into the spare room for a few months, and then moved in with another woman. The speed with which that happened suggests the other woman was not a new thing, although he maintains that they were just friends prior to our separation. Apparently, she made a move as soon as he was free, or at least that's his story. My reaction? Whatever. When I met his new girlfriend, rather than feeling resentful or jealous, I wanted to hug her and thank her for taking him off my hands. Also, she's very pretty, which people seem to think should make me feel worse, but actually makes me feel better. A part of me is like, at least I kept him for a while despite the competition. The property settlement is a bit more tense. I have been the primary income earner and caregiver throughout the relationship, and I will continue to have primary care of the kids. He nonetheless asked for half of everything, citing his future needs and all. I don't know whether he was expecting me to fight or get angry, but I just agreed, put the house on the market, and sold the shares to give him half. We're working through some other stuff, mainly because of legal complexity rather than apportionment. I have moved into a 3-bedroom apartment with the kids, with a dog park down the block. No pool, no yard, food on the doorstep, and no need for a car. The kids and I have time to enjoy being together, and without Dad around, we can do our own thing. It's wonderful. I feel so guilty for feeling so good. He is the only man I have ever dated, the only man I have ever even kissed. After so many years of marriage, good times and bad, and our beautiful children, I keep thinking I should be hurt. I should cry or scream, or at least feel bad. But I actually feel relieved. Nothing but relieved. While I do feel bad for the kids, divorced parents are not ideal, and I have to deal with some passing guilt about that, but not enough to change my mind that this is the right decision. I know my reaction seems strange. Maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I was just never invested enough in this relationship to begin with. Maybe I don't really know how to love. But at least I now finally know happiness, and that's a wonderful thing. Now for the comments. Maybe you have already grieved what you wanted this relationship to be versus what it actually was. When a woman's fed up, I think you're right. It sounds like he did not respect you, and the relationship ran its course. Congratulations! I went and read your post from a year ago about contemplating divorce, and I felt even happier for you. I decided on divorce as well, and it was finalized almost a year ago. He betrayed me terribly, and it has been a struggle because I was a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. Things have finally calmed down and become more settled and secure. I have a place to live with the kids and a good job. My kids are great people, and I love spending time with them. The biggest disappointment is just how much he has abandoned them. He almost never sees them and almost never calls. He chose to date and marry someone abroad, which has made it even harder to see them, but I'm grateful for the financial settlement and child support. However, I was just thinking yesterday about how, on a personal level, I don't pine for him. I am happy without him. I am so glad I chose to value myself. I am glad for me and glad for my kids, that they weren't put through the hell of a terrible marriage that would have been us if we had stayed together. You did it. I am so glad for you and your kids. It sounds like you're a sensible person, but just one thing. You have been lied to by your parents. You deserve so much more than they say. You deserve respect and to be treated well. I am so sorry to hear about your husband. That would be really hard. Mine would never abandon the kids. He loves them and spends time with them. He made some sounds about shared care, but ultimately, I think we both agree he can't really care for them full-time or anything, but he will play a very significant part in their lives. And yes, that post and the answers were part of what have gotten me here. Actually, the purpose of this post was to thank everyone, but I forgot that part. Oh well, I will say it here. Thank you, internet strangers. Next story. Update. My husband, 41 male, got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me, 36 female, about it. Original post. My husband Charlie and I have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've had our ups and downs but are currently in an up. He has never done anything like this in the past, so it came out of left field for me, and I'm very much shocked and at a loss here. Charlie is a computer programmer and was a senior engineer at his now former company, where he had worked for 4 years. He'd never had any trouble with coworkers, and we're both friendly with a few of them, mostly other men and their wives. On Friday of last week, he came home around 11 a.m. and told me he'd been fired. He was really upset and agitated, and I didn't want to push him about it, but he told me that they had said he was harassing a coworker and was fired. The information I've been able to get out of him: the coworker is Beth, a junior engineer who he's never mentioned to me before. He said she's terrible at her job. Beth slept with a senior engineer we are both friendly with, Darren. Darren wasn't involved in the harassment, wasn't fired, etc. The company's lawyers were there, and among the things they told him was that Beth could have pressed charges but chose not to. Something happened with her car, but he won't say what. His exact words were, there was something with her car. He was escorted off the premises and is not allowed back in the building to get his belongings. Instead, he has to arrange with security to pick them up after business hours. As far as anything else goes, he won't give me any details. He isn't interested in seeing a lawyer because he says everything is legal. He has basically admitted to sending Beth some emails, but won't say what they said or anything like that. I don't know if Beth sleeping with Darren had anything to do with it, but the fact that he gave me that detail makes me think it does. I'm not sure how it relates. Darren is a very nice single man who is in his late 20s, approximately the same age as Beth. My mind is running wild here. Charlie has been depressed and withdrawn all weekend, won't talk to me about it, and won't talk much in general. I work remotely, so I was home all day with him, and he played video games all day and then went to bed at 6 p.m. The fact that he won't tell me anything and isn't interested in seeing a lawyer makes me think that it's bad and makes me worry that everything is true, and not just a misunderstanding or a small thing blown out of proportion. He has never been flirtatious with other women or cruel to them, and he's never said anything bad about other women engineers he works with. I don't know what to do here. My instinct is to be supportive of my husband, but I don't know what kind of behavior I'd be supporting. I don't want to run to his co-workers we know and ask them, since they're more our friends than my friends, and while we spend time together at get-togethers or bars, I'm not close with them. In an immediate sense, I don't know what to do about helping someone who is so depressed and won't talk to me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. I would tell him you have to assume the worst if he won't be honest with you. I've got to say, he must have done bad things to be escorted off the premises, with no warning like that. Either he was hating on her and went over the top, or he tried to sleep with her and went over the top, or he tried to sleep with her and then hated on her. I've worked at larger companies, and when they fire people, sometimes they are walked right out of the building. The reasoning is they don't want the fired person to make a scene and rock the boat. It's heartless in my opinion, but it does happen. Something tells me OP's husband did something terrible because lawyers were there, and apparently the girl could have pressed charges. That is very unusual. My guess is OP's husband got jealous that Darren was sleeping with Beth and not him, as he had a crush on Beth for a while, and he flipped out and went all nice guy on her. He mentioned there are emails, so there is evidence in writing as well. This does not bode well for OP. Now for the update. My thread was locked before I was able to respond to any of the comments, but I was able to read them this morning. I got up at 5:30 to go to the gym before work, and my husband was still awake playing video games. I presented him with a very good idea someone suggested of sending me an email with the details, but I told him it wasn't acceptable to shut me out of this situation since it affects me too. His response was basically, "The paperwork is in my car. Go get it if you want to read it." I asked him to go get it so we could look at it together, and he said, "You're going to believe what you want anyway." All of this is unusual for our marriage because I'm a pretty patient person, I think. We went out to the car together, and he got in his car, handed me the papers, and left. For about 2 hours, I was panicked because I didn't know where he went, if he was okay, or if he was thinking of hurting himself. But his mother texted me at 9, saying he was over there and asking me what happened, if everything was okay, etc. His parents live about 15 minutes away, and I guess he told her he's going to be staying there. So, according to the paperwork, he sent her multiple harassing emails from anonymous email accounts. The emails are printed out and attached. He apparently did this while at work, and they had been monitoring his user account for 3 months. The emails aren't sexual or romantic in nature. They are all anonymous and about how she sucks at her job, wouldn't be there if she wasn't a woman, how she should quit before she gets fired, and how everyone in the office hates her. He made fake user accounts for his company's product that she works on and submitted bad reviews of her work. He also did this while logged in at work. He sent an anonymous email to her boss, saying that she was sleeping with a senior engineer on another project. He put a gun catalog on the windshield of her car. I don't know what this gesture means, but I obviously understand that it was meant to be threatening. Unfortunately, inside was a subscription card that the company autofilled with his name and address. She also says she has been harassed for the same length of time, about 3 months, on Twitter. He only logged into one Twitter account that harassed her at work, so they can only say one was him. All were telling her to quit her job. So, I don't know what to do now. This is all terrifying to me, and I feel so bad for this woman. I have no idea what this is all about. He works with other women engineers, and he has worked with male engineers who don't pull their weight, and he's never done anything like this. I would have bet $1 million that he'd never do anything like this. He's at his parents' right now, and I don't know what my next move here could possibly be. This is so scary and out of left field for me.